Hey, Facebook. I know y'all thought I forgot. Let me tell you, I was knocked out sleep. So here I am, day 5 of my 30-day Facebook Live challenge. This is your girl, T. Renee. And today we are going to be discussing sharing your story and why that is so important. So, for those of you who don't know me and that are going to catch the replay, I am writing a story about my life. Well, it's a fiction story based on my life as a mother. Excuse me. But the painful side of me being a mother, and the title of the book is It Hurts to Be Your Mother. It should be coming out soon. We had to redo the cover because the concept didn't match. However, the reason why I'm doing this story is because I see and know so many other single mothers. As I shared with you guys yesterday, that, I had the privilege of, being blessed to have fathers in my boys' lives that they are helping, or they're actually full-time taking care of the boys while I am, in school and doing things to get my life in order. Hey, Ricky. So, it was crazy how when the story came to me, initially, I was doing a story, and we still are going to do it. I'm not sure when, but I'm going to tell you about that. I was doing a story with my sister, and it was called, or it's going to be called, The Absent Father. And the story, this one is a nonfiction, so it's what they call a tell-all, I guess, and it talks about our lives. Now, out of the 6 children, there are 6 of us, and she and I are the only 2 out of all the siblings that have the same mother and father. Some have different fathers, some have different mothers, but she and I share the same 2 parents. So the story is talking about how different our lives came out with our father being in and out of our lives, because he wasn't totally gone and he wasn't totally there. There were different parts of our lives where he was in the home, and there were other parts where he wasn't in the home. And because of that, because of both instances, she and I have 2 different lives. We turned out 2 different ways, but we were affected in the same manner by his absence and by his presence as well. Now, when we initially started talking about this book, we got a lot of questions. We got a lot of backlash. We got a lot of negative feedback. People were like, oh, is this about my daddy? Is this about my uncle? Is this about my brother? Is this about da 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 da? And, at some point in that, it kind of discouraged us because we weren't doing it in a manner to get back at him or to defame him or anything. It was, we needed to share that because, one, we needed to release it. We needed to release it from our bodies, from our minds, from our emotions. And then, we were positive that there are other children out there who share the same story as us and who needed to hear, that it's okay, that those feelings that you had, that it's okay. It's okay to talk about it. It's not, meant for you to just keep bottled up inside of you. And because doing so caused a lot of different things. Unbeknownst to me and a lot of my family members, my sister attempted suicide a couple of times. And we didn't find that out until she wrote her book about her life. And so the purpose of sharing our story is so that we could help, somebody else understand that we feel you. We know what you're going through. We know what you may be still going through. And it wasn't that time period wasn't the greatest, and it's so funny how so many people who weren't there, who didn't live with us, who didn't live near us, who didn't spend any time with us, has or had, and maybe still have, so many opinions on how we feel or felt about our father. Even up until last year, I had a conversation with one of my uncles because he, didn't know my story, one, and he was going off of his own biased opinion about what the relationship between me and my father was. So because of that, he was drawing assumptions and he was, making conclusions on the situation. So what happened was I made a post about Father's Day, and I said, I don't understand why Father's Day gets so many negative comments, or there's so many negative responses to Father's Day, and why do single mothers pick that day to bash the men that are the fathers of their children? And it bothers me because, no matter what my dad did, to this day, my mother never, ever, ever says anything negative about my father. Contrary to what people may think or believe, she has never said anything negative or demeaning or derogatory about my father. And she's the one that had to deal with him. She's the one that dealt with all of that hurt, whatever their relationship situation was. She had to deal with that, but she never imparted those feelings on her children. She allowed us to develop our own feelings about him based on our relationship and based on our interaction with him. So on this post, I went on to say, even when my father wasn't there, I was blessed to have other men in my life that stepped in and that were father figures for me. And so my uncle commented and, it's like, well, if you feel that way, then you need to call my brother and wish him happy Father's Day and yada, yada, yada. And I was like, what? I'm like, first of all, I already talked to my dad this morning because, again, he didn't know my story. He didn't know that for the last couple of years, at that point, my father and I had been in constant communication with each other, that we had a conversation about our relationship and what that meant for the both of us and how we were going to handle, each other moving forward. And so, my uncle was ranting and raving and saying all this stuff. And I'm like, look, if you really want to know the truth, here's my phone number, call me, because I don't do Facebook beef. I don't do family drama and all that stuff like that. But I am going to tell you my truth. I'm going to tell you how I feel. No, George, I'm not topless. I have on a little crop. Sorry, y'all. I do have on clothes. But so I was able to call him, or he called me rather. And at first, he was still, refuting some of the things that I was saying about what happened when I was a teenager and even an adult. And, and I'm like, well, what did you call for if you weren't going to hear my side of the story? Because you're, under this impression that, oh, your brother is so great. And, you've only heard his side and you never wanted to hear my side because in your eyes, I was a child. And as a child, I didn't have a say so, which, again, is also, wrong, because children do have feelings. Like, people don't understand that just because I'm 8 years old, I don't have a feeling like I'm a robot until I turn a certain age. Like, people believe that their kids don't have feelings, that their kids are not affected by certain things and decisions that are made, but we are, and so I had to let him know, how I felt, and how, whether he believed it or not, it didn't matter what he thought about me and my father. And if I never talked to my dad again, that wasn't his concern. It wasn't his business. And, I can go on and live in my truth and speak my truth because it's mine. Again, like I told you guys the other day, it's my truth. And you don't have a right to tell me what I can say, or if you didn't live there, if you weren't in the house with us, how do you really know what was going on? You don't. You're just assuming, or you're basing your judgment off of what he said. And again, you're looking at, she's just rebellious, or she was just, hard-headed, or what have you, instead of really understanding that some things that were said to me as a child or as a teenager shouldn't be said to any child. Some things that I was accused of that I was not doing shouldn't have happened, but it did. And so because of those things, it made me put distance between myself and those people. And so this book that we were doing, we're not just talking about the bad things. I share some good things, but I also share some realizations that because of, the issues that I had with my father, that caused those same issues to be in my romantic relationships. So fast forward to us getting ready to put it out. We had an editor and everything. And then again, like I said, because of all of the backlash that we were receiving and then other life situations, we put it on hold. And so that book is just sitting there. It's just waiting. And there's some people that really need to hear what we have to say about that. And they're not hearing it. Why? Because we didn't share it, because we allowed other people and other things to get in our way and prevent us from sharing our story. So I'm saying to you guys, if you have a story to share, you need to share it. I had a consultation last night with a new author, and they were telling me, what they wanted to write about in this story, or there's actually two, and it's personal. It's going to be a tell-all. And immediately, and because I know this person personally, I've known them their whole life, I already knew, I'm like, okay, this is going to be, tough for some people to take. Like, there's going to be so much backlash when this story comes out. However, as I instructed her last night, it doesn't matter, because you need to get it out for you. Like, we have so many people that commit suicide and, go to drugs and alcohol and all this because they have all this stuff that has happened to them that's bottled up inside of them, and that, they feel like they can't share it with anyone because people are making them feel ashamed of what they've gone through and what they've been through. So they keep it bottled up, and that it eats away at them. And because they're not equipped to handle all of the emotions and all of the stress that comes along with it, then they in turn, damage themselves physically. So I was sharing with them, why it was important for their story to come out, because it is a definitely, some trying things that they've gone through, some, at their own accord, and then some of it was things that other people did to them. So it is, important for this story to come out, because like I said, there's, even if for no other reason but for them to get it off their chest and to find some type of healing for what they've gone through, that is the reason why they need to share their story. So I hope that those of you that are watching and those that may catch the replay, that you understand that how important it is for you to not only, like I said before, live in your truth, but if you have the opportunity to share your story with someone, and it necessarily may not mean that you have to write a book. It may not mean that you have to, go on a reality show or whatever. It could be just talking to someone about what you've gone through, because you just don't know how. Not only will it help you, but it will help the person that you're talking to, or the person that's hearing their story. And that's one reason why I've always been extremely transparent about my life. I've always, I won't say always, I say with, I guess since I was an adult, I've always, tried to share what I've gone through, because, I don't want to, one, keep that stuff inside of me at all. And two, again, there's somebody else that's going through, or that has gone through what I've been through. And it's funny how, like, when you get a car, like, you don't see anybody else with your car until you get that car, and then all of a sudden you see a million cars just like yours. Okay, same thing. Like, I had never personally met anyone who had lost a baby, had their baby die, until my baby died. And it was crazy the amount of people that, stories I started hearing, and people that started coming to me, talking to me like, oh yeah, my baby died at this age and my baby died at that age. And I was like blown away, because I never knew so many people that were close to me had that experience. And the more I started to share my story, the more people I started to meet, the more I was able to help other people, deal with it how I dealt with it, or at least share with them how I dealt with it, and how I was able to, move forward, and how now I can talk about her without crying, how I can, smile when I think about the little short time that I did have with her, so it's very, very important for you to be open to talking about those things, even the most hurtful things that has happened to you. It makes me think about how, rape victims, they get so much backlash. People say, well, why they wait so long? And, why, didn't they say anything when it happened? Well, that's a very, very painful situation to be in. And so I understand the need for not sharing, because people immediately want to say, well, what did you do? And they want to blame you, and they want to accuse you of putting yourself in a situation that you didn't have to be in. But that's not always the case. And even if that is the case, it still doesn't make it right. And it's still, not their fault, so they need to have an open door to have open dialogue about what happened. And maybe if people weren't so judgmental about other people's stories, then more people would be apt to talk about what's going on with them. That's just like, I was just reading a post a few minutes ago on Facebook, and there's a picture going around about this young lady who's 25, and she has 9 kids. She has a couple sets of triplets and twins or what have you. And so it only shows her, and it shows a picture of all the kids. It doesn't show a man in any of the pictures that are being shared. So immediately people are assuming that there's no father involved. And so people are like, why should she get props? Because she had all these kids, like single mothers do this every day and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, like, are y'all serious? Like, okay, granted, we're just looking on the surface and what we're being showed. And, 25 years old and 9 kids, that sounds like a lot. However, that's on her. Like, she's smiling. Her kids are smiling. So clearly she knew what she was doing when she got pregnant, and she can't control how many eggs are fertilized at the point of conception. That is beyond her control. So yeah, some people can say, oh, well, she should have stopped after the triplets, the first set, or she should have stopped after this one. But you don't know her full story. You don't know if all these kids have the same daddy. You don't know if they have more than one and those daddies are involved. You just don't know. But people are judging her, and people are saying, she shouldn't get any accolades because she's just doing what mothers do every day, and that's take care of their kids. And, okay, cool, right? Yes, all parents that are, doing what they should be doing, fine. But why shouldn't they still be celebrated? Isn't that why we not have Mother's Day and Father's Day? Like, it bothers me that we're so quick to find a reason to talk down on somebody because of what their story is. Like, this girl, I don't know that I could do it. 9 kids, triplets, twins, on top of all that. Imagine what her day is like. Okay, just imagine what one day in her life is like. Getting all those kids up for school, dropping everybody off. Do she even have a car that's big enough to transport all these children around? Like, all these questions come into my mind right away, right? And so, but I'm not dogging her out. I'm not downing her or anything, because being a mother, just being pregnant is enough in itself. Like, the things that our bodies go through in, carrying a child and trying to bring it into this world is crazy bananas. And some women have it easy and some don't. Like, I had 3 horrible pregnancies, okay, to where, I was on bed rest, I'm bleeding internally, like all these different things. And so, but that didn't stop me from wanting to be a mother, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what I wanted to do. However, it was painful. It was, a lot. And that was just the physical part of what my body went through. Let's not even talk about the emotional part of what I went through and the mental part of what I went through. So yes, if she's doing all of this, and even if she's doing it by herself, whether we agree with her choice or not, yes, she should get some type of, congrats, because there's a lot of kids out here who parents threw them away. There's a lot of children whose parents just dumped them off. We hear stories just this year alone of how many kids have been left in a hot car to die, or mothers drowning their kids, or daddies shooting their kids because they don't want to pay child support. Like, all these different stories where these kids are losing their lives at the hand of their parents. And here is a mother who, from the original post, it said that they went and looked at her page and saw that she was, doing her thing. She was working, whatever, taking care of her kids. So yes, congratulate her. Whether you, feel like she should have 9 kids at 25, that's not your call. It's not up to you. That's her call. That's on her. And she didn't ask for her picture to be shared. Somebody else took that upon themselves and shared it because they felt like they wanted to congratulate her for her story. So we have to be careful, because now she's dealing with people talking about her, both good and bad. And who wants that? But it happens, right? It happens to us all. Now she has to be able to deal with that and think about her children are going to have to one day read these social media posts where people were talking bad about their mother because she was this age with this many kids. And I think about my grandmother was 19 with 4 kids, and they were all back to back, like a year apart, and she had her first child when she was 14, so like back then, and people want to say, oh, that was back then. I don't care. Back then, right now, it's happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are having sex, people are getting pregnant. So it's like, get over it. It's going to happen. There's no way that you can prevent anybody from doing what they want to do. It's their truth. It's their story. Let them live, because I'm sure there are some things, that you have in your life that, if somebody found out about it, they would be giving you the side eye too. And you wouldn't want anybody to negate you or, dismiss you for that choice. Even if it was just one time, if it was just one bad choice that you made, it could still cause somebody to look at you a certain type of way. So we have to be careful, and we have to allow people to share their story. We have to allow people that opportunity to get it off their chest. We have to let them tell what happened, good or bad. That saying, which I hate. Wait, let me not say hate, because I don't like that word. My grandma said, don't say hate. Well, I don't like that saying where what goes on in our house stays in our house. Do you know how much damage that saying has caused over time, and black people have used that for generations on top of generations. And we try to put certain things off on other races and say, oh, black people don't do this, and well, that's a lie. And the reason why we don't know that black people do that is because of that saying right there: what goes on in my house stays in my house. And I get it that initially it was to get your kids not to be going around telling all your business, but at the same time, because that saying was browbeat over our heads, there are some people who didn't tell some of the horrible things that were going on inside that house, like being molested or being raped, being beat, all these different things that people have gone through that nobody knows because they were, put in this fear that they couldn't share, and that something bad was going to happen to them or somebody else that they loved if they share. But I'm here to tell you now, you need to share. It's going to hurt somebody. It's going to hurt somebody, but guess what? It's going to hurt you more if you don't share. It's going to tear you up in ways that you can't even imagine if you don't share your story. It is going to, when I tell you, even if, like I said, you don't put it in a book like I'm doing and like so many other people that I know are doing or have done, even if you just write it out for yourself or just talk it out to somebody, get it out, because you will have this freeing that I can't even begin to describe to you. It's like a huge weight lifted off of your shoulders and out of your body, and it will change your life. So you must understand that whatever it is that you've gone through, whatever it is that you're going through, somebody is waiting to hear your story. Somebody is waiting to know that it's okay. Somebody is waiting to know that I can make it through. That yes, this thing broke me down to my core, but I can make it through. Because you're looking at somebody right here who has made it through so much. I could talk for hours and hours about a lot of the things that I have gone through and some of the things that has been said to me, that if I wasn't as strong as I was or that I am, it would have really, really, really broke me down. It would have caused me to do, some more detrimental things to myself. But I'm thankful that I was able to handle it, and now I'm here to share those things with you. So whatever that is that you need to get it out today. Don't wait no time. Don't waste no time. Don't worry about your mama, your daddy, or anybody else or what they gonna have to say. Do this for you. Share your story. And if you need help, call me, inbox me, text me, and I will help you get your story told, because it just is something that needs to be done. We live, in a time now where people are still trying to make excuses and sweep stuff under the rug, and people are so judgmental about what other people are going through. But you need to share your story, whether that's a divorce that you've gone through, like I said, for me, burying my child, my only daughter, lots of things that I've gone through and that you have gone through as well. So get it out. Today is the day for you to share your story, and you will see that once you do it, it's going to be an emotional journey, but once you reach the end of that road, you will feel so free, and you will feel so much better about your life, and you will also understand why you had to go through those things. When we're in it, we don't get it, but once you've gone through it and you survived it and you're able to talk about it, you will gain a whole lot of understanding as to why you were chosen to go through that particular thing. So, what's the homework for today? Write out your story. Talk about your story to somebody. Write it out, talk it out, discuss it, get it done. Whatever you do, share your story. And most importantly, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of what anybody has to say, because you were chosen to go through that thing for a reason. And that reason was to help somebody else. So this is your girl, T. Renee. I'm getting ready to sign off. Remember, I will be here every day for the next 25 days now on my 30-day Facebook Live challenge. If you are looking for some help, there are plenty of resources out there. If you send me an inbox, I can direct you to some people that I know that may be able to help you get some things worked through. As always, I am available on all social media at Authoress T. Renee, or my personal Facebook page, facebook.com/3 Kings Mom. To everyone that was on here today, Charmaine, Tia, Tammy, Jeffrey, Michael, anybody else that I missed, I love you guys. Thank you for chiming in and listening to me share about sharing my story and your story as well. To all those who are going to catch the replay, I appreciate you, and know that I am just a one little girl who got a lot to say. So catch me tomorrow, 5:30 Eastern Standard Time, as we will be back here tomorrow. We are going to be talking about, what was the topic she gave me? I think it was, oh gosh, I can't remember. Something about facing, working under pressure. That's what it was. We are going to be talking about working under pressure on tomorrow. So I will see you then. All of you have a lovely, lovely evening. And remember, share your story. Love you. Deuces.